LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. LifeHakx. This is Mary Collins on LifeHakx Media and Radio X, and I have the absolute pleasure to have Barbara Scholl in with me today. Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Hi, Mary. Hi. Lovely.
It's really a pleasure. I can't wait to have you in studio as you are not far away, being in Zurich, Switzerland. So I'm just going to tell our audience a little bit about you, especially our international audience who may not know you as much as the Swiss audience, who I'm sure love you and everything that you do. So to those who don't know, Barbara grew up in Switzerland, Brazil, and the USA. And in 2008, she completed her OMNI hypnosis training. And in addition to therapeutic work, she also works at the OMNI Hypnosis Center in Effrington, near Zurich.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. This is me and my Swiss German. I'm pretty terrible.
Yeah, sure.
Barbara teaches HypnoKids, which is a method on an international level that works with children and people who would like to know how to work with children, I guess, especially with trauma and school difficulties, etc. So Barbara has also published a bestseller, Hypnotherapy for Children and Adolescents. She also published by, you were published by Geiger Verlag, correct?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Right, and it was launched in May 2020. It is currently in German, but I'm sure that there's an option to view the website in German or in English and other languages. But currently the book is in German only.
Absolutely, yes, that's
okay. But you were just part of the Hypno Summit 2021, and that's really exciting because I watched your wonderful presentation in English. So I know that there are options there for the expat community who need help with training or their children in hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So with that, to tell people a little bit more about the understanding, or I guess you could actually go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what OMNI hypnosis is and how you work with children and adolescents.
Yes, okay. Yes, with pleasure. And it's lovely that you spotted me on the Hypno Summit. And it's a lovely platform for the English-speaking crowd interested in mental health. I'm based in Switzerland, in Zurich, and I have a bit different directions I work in. The one thing is daily hypnotherapy with children, kids, or adolescents plus adults as well. And the other one, as you said, is I train internationally and I do webinaries. I do a lot of things, and that's quite lovely. Now, I find it very rewarding to work with children and teenagers. And that's why I also was very happy that you spotted me on Hypno Summit. That's lovely, because my credo is that if we heal and strengthen children and teenagers, they don't have to carry on all the heavy luggage right into adulthood, right? If they heal already when they're young, they can develop their full potential, and we don't have to repair and fix the adults. So it's very rewarding and makes a lot of sense. So that's why I'm also with great passion in the business. And one thing is doing therapy myself, but what really gives me leverage is training internationally, because if I train hypnotherapists to work with kids and teens, then I reach children in Brazil, in South America, or in South Africa, in Europe, wherever, in China, in Russia, and then I really, really can make a difference.
Absolutely, in the community and the world.
Yes.
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx. How did you get into working in hypnotherapy or as a hypnotherapist?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, it's funny. I suffered 3 years of depression after our third child, well, twins, and suddenly I started having depressions with no reason. And for 3 years, I went to see a psychiatrist. I had medication, and it didn't really help. I didn't get better. We just treated symptoms, and that was very nice as well, of course, but it didn't resolve the problem. And then at what point my brother, Hans-Rudi Wipf, he's the head of OMNI Hypnosis, he came up to me and said, Barbara, I'm ready, come see me. And it took one session, 3 hours, a lot of tears, and that was it. That was it. And I never had a depression again. 3 hours, one session.
That's
and
wonderful.
my brother then took over from Gerald Kine, the business. It's originally from the States, OMNI Hypnosis. He was the successor of Gerald Kine, and he expanded it to a worldwide, actually the biggest hypnosis training school nowadays. And and so then my mom said, go train, check out what he's doing, and I got trained, and OMNI, and that was about 14 years ago. And I was so highly impressed that I started practicing. I opened up my business. At the same time, I was also a teacher. And then afterwards, it became so much the hypnosis business that I had to choose which one. And then I chose hypnotherapy. And so it has become my full-time job. That's how I ended up in hypnotherapy.
Right. Well, I mean, trauma is a serious thing. And also people, they give you medicine for one thing, like depression, for example. And one of the side effects for a lot of these depression medicines is actually suicidal thoughts, and you think, how is it possible that they're giving you medicine for something that's supposed to help and it can make it far worse when there's so many better approaches, especially hypnotherapy, which is really expressed in the medical community. It's not used as much as it should be. So speaking of which, what was the preparation process like for you and becoming a hypnotherapist with OMNI?
Yeah, well, the basic training for OMNI is 3 modules, 3 parts. And the first 2 are online. The first module is 30 hours. Then you have testing. The second module is 60 hours. This is not live possible at the moment, so it's also online. And then you have 4 days intense practical training. And it is offered, as I said, all over a little bit in the world. But here in Switzerland and Europe, it is my brother, Hans-Rudi Wipf, who trains. And he also trains the first 2 parts of OMNI. So it used to be 1 module, 7 days, and you just dive into it. And afterwards, of course, then you can do additional trainings. But after 1 week, the next Monday, I finished Sunday. The next Monday, I had my first client and I started off. And so it's highly concentrated. Some people might now think, well, 1 week, that's nothing. But we're very, very process oriented. And we do regression. Then we don't do scripts because the client is our script. So we're just very quick. We're very fast. We don't do long-term sessions, therapies. And I'm the living proof that it works because I was not a hypnotherapist or a therapist. And I managed to get started. And it caught me to such a degree that I could not let go. And then afterwards, I was trained for child hypnotherapy, but then it was just a little part. So then I was handed over the project, HypnoKids, and then I expanded it. And now it has become a 3-day training, which is targeted or is possible or available for people who have a basic training in hypnosis, including regression. So you don't have necessarily to be OMNI trained to get HypnoKids training, but it's just useful because then you understand regression properly.
Right.
Work smarter and live better. LifeHakx.
So, Barbara, you were saying about working with hypnosis and regression and the adult mind. How does that work with children? Because children's imaginations are so different. And, with regression, do people understand? I don't know if everyone understands that you don't actually take them back to a memory is based on how the third person in their brain works, right? From what I know of hypnosis, it's never exactly how you remember it. So how does that work with children?
Actually, regression is very, very easy, or in general, working with children and teens is very easy because they're still like wet cement. You can still form them. It's not like they have perfectioned limiting beliefs over decades yet, right? So it's still very fresh, very young. That's why it's very easy to work with kids, and they're not afraid. You know, like the adults, you have to really educate and inform what hypnosis is. And children and teenagers, they just find it so super cool. So it's very easy. Now, as soon as they are cognitively able to follow the process of regression, we can do regression, and that depends, of course, on every child. But I would say as of the age 9, 10 years old, we can start doing regression. And of course, the regression, as we do it, with, for example, with HypnoKids, it is very playful, okay? But still, we go back. So it's still fascinating. Kids usually, they get it like that. They're very quick, they're very playful and curious. So this is all stuff we use to go back also to the first time a fear or phobia or a sadness or anger occurred. And then also the clue is the hypnoanalysis, of course, at the initial point there. That's different than we do it with the adults, because the child is still a child. A child cannot yet inform the inner child because they're still children, right? So then we have special techniques, also very easy, how we can heal the very young child as well. So it is very playful, very easy and fun.
So what would be, first of all, what would be some of the hacks or life lessons that you know now that you wish you knew then when you started the process of working with children? Just kind of like basic stuff that maybe could be applicable to other hypnotists or parents who want to get involved with hypnotherapy.
Yeah, I'm very glad to share something for the parents or grandparents or teachers, right? Whoever is around kids. And one thing is semantics. I realized, or I know now, I'm aware how important it is how we formulate ourselves. For example, the word try or the word try is not a very smart word. If we try, or if a father tells his son, well, try to do the A level at school, try, give it a try. The indirect message the teenager gets is, well, my father doesn't really believe I can do it. However, when if the father says, well, you know what, you do A level, you can do that, it's a completely different language. So semantics is something we can really pay attention, or parents, I'm also a parent myself, we can pay attention to. And also, I really recommend eavesdropping is something. Now, with the pandemic, we have a lot of heavy discussions find place at the dinner table, or they overhear phone calls. And these children, younger children and also teenagers, they need to be protected. Some information is not for the ears of young children, and parents, when they talk about the pandemic and about the stress and maybe anger and frustration, they should protect their children and make sure they don't hear everything, because otherwise it gets bigger and bigger. Because as a matter of fact, I have a lot of children who come in for school refusal. They don't want to go to school anymore. They start bedwetting again. So I'm overrun with demands for therapy. So this is what I can recommend. And also for the kids, do a lot of sports, cook with them, spend time, very down-to-earth basic stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, and words are so important. One of the part of the series for LifeHakx this year that we're doing is called Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it's based on the energy around.
Okay. Yes.
And so, and the idea that, like you can make a plant grow, or water change certain ions or whatever it is in it by energy, by the way you speak to it, but what music you play. I mean, this is old science, actually.
Sure.
And I think as a parent myself, we all make that mistake of kind of like where you just like up to here with frustration. As a journalist, I've been around, toddlers doing Sesame Street and all the rest of it, and 100% patience. But with my own, it's like, but you're mine, like, why are you saying this or doing this? And it is hard. And especially now that, kids are experiencing unprecedented lockdowns and wearing masks and all sorts of kind of abuse. It is what it is. It's an abuse to cover the mouth. It's an abuse to keep a child inside and not communicating with their friends.
Yeah.
What would some of your hacks be to like wording? So we know one of the top ones is don't have stressful conversations if possible.
Yes.
That the kids can't control. Like, so that if it's about your work or it's about your kind of emotions, that you can share that you have these emotions, but not in a way that it's an overhearing situation.
Yeah. Avoid negations. For example, don't trip. Oh, don't trip.
Yeah, they think about it, don't they?
The subconscious mind has the tendency to drop the negation. So formulate it in a positive way. Walk over there, safely and stuff like that. And I want to share, if I may, one hack for the parents. And it's called in German or in Swiss, it's called der verdeckte Ritterschlag. It's in English, it's the hidden nightly cold, where the queen, she takes the sword and puts it on the shoulder of a knight, right? So this is like a hidden ceremony for the child the parents can do whenever the child is totally within him or herself, like for example playing Lego or playing Barbie, reading a book, or lying down with the dog or the cat, things, beautiful moments. The parents can come up and take their hand and put it on the shoulder of the child, and they do it on the opposite shoulder of the dominating hand. So if a child is right-handed, they put their hand always on the left shoulder, and then they can utter a code word. For example, lovely, sweet, calm, love-worthy, perfect, And then and they do that, they can do that several times a day. Whenever they see the child is totally happy, they can do that. They should not do it while the child is eating, because we don't want to put post-hypnotic anchors in relation to food. Okay, but we have to watch out.
That's one that parents do. My mom, Irish mother, all the starving children in Africa, eat everything on your plate. I mean, and to this day, like, I will not leave the plate until it's clean. You know what I mean? I was so rebellious back in the day, but like it is true. That is such great advice. Yeah. So positive anchoring.
Yeah. So, and then they can do that for 2, 3, 4 weeks. They do it over and over again. And then when the child is in a difficult, challenging situation, all they do is they touch the child on the shoulder and they say that code word. And immediately the subconscious mind will bring forth that emotion, And later on, if the parents really program this, it's like a post-hypnotic anchor, a hidden anchor, the child can start putting his hand, himself or herself, on her shoulder to call forth that feeling of feeling safe and down to earth.
Okay, that's wonderful. And so would you do that if they're like studying attentively or or reading a book, like if it was a positive?
Yes. Lovely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And the child doesn't really know what's going on, and you can just grin and say, no, don't worry, just continue.
Yeah. Perfect.
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? Life hacks.
With that wonderful advice on how to kind of, like you said, anchor, and these are words parents can learn when they're part of the OMNI course. So positive motivational ways to speak to them and when to say certain things and when not to. So important. Tell us a little bit more now about OMNI and how someone can get involved with the course, and what, do you teach them in English as well? Is there an option if you have enough students? How does that work? As well as how do people book you personally to get help with their family situation? I mean, those are like 3 questions, sorry.
Yes.
But
Sure.
go ahead and just.
Okay, yeah. Well, the OMNI training is 3 parts, right? At the moment, we took a lot of stuff online due to COVID. So the entire training is now online in German for the European area. And the English is already all filmed. It will, I guess, by about Christmas time, we will go with everything online in English as well. And the thing is that OMNI just built a high security platform, and that's a big project. And of course, it's not just German, but it's in Brazilian, in Portuguese, in English, and it will go on to many other languages. So it's a big project. And IT is a big thing, very challenging. So we went online with it all in Europe, and HypnoKids is also available online in German fully, next to the live trainings. And yes, and of course you can pick live or online. The 3rd part is always live training, but my brother travels around a lot, and there will also be in the US, we will have trainings, and UK and so forth. So that's it's on the OMNI Hypnosis Academy platform, or through me or whatever. I'm glad to give a link where people can find out what to train.
And that's all we have time for today. However, you can hear the rest of the interview on lifehakx.com. That's with a K and an X on Radio X.